we should start this out by talking about Final Fantasy 15
Yes,
and
we
the
should.
fact that I got $5 from Joe for a bet I made on this podcast because it was delayed.
It was.
So it's now coming out November 29th. But something that wasn't delayed, and they wrapped it up in time, is Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive, which is a movie designed for the sole purpose of promoting Final Fantasy 15, and now it's weird that they're completely out of sync.
2.5 months early.
It's a feature
Right.
film.
And film. Don't call it a movie.
Well, what's the difference?
Dan Tack, so you watched this. I watched it. Kyle, you...
I watched an hour of it.
What happened?
Internet connectivity was giving me problems, and it's a bunch of technical crap, and I was tired. And you want me to keep going?
No, dear God, no.
I mean, not to get too deep into it, but also like I wasn't like, oh man, I gotta finish this. I gotta stay up late and finish this. I like watched an hour. My internet crapped out on me for like 5 seconds, and I was like, I don't feel like starting this back up. I'm going to bed.
All right, Dan Tack, walk me through what you think of this.
You know, it felt a lot like me, like the previous Final Fantasy movies. Really cool action sequences. A lot of cool, like, I love the action sequences. They're great. A lot of like super dramatic sequences, like without getting into spoilers, like whoa, something big is happening here, and then like completely jarring, like nonsensical attempt at story development, where people like don't get emotional at all. They just say stuff to the air, like I'm so upset that that person died. Now I'm gonna walk over here, and it's just like, okay, don't need that. If they just made action, it would be incredible. Like they're really good at that.
These are the people that say like, hey, you should just make the WoW movie should have just been the WoW cutscenes department, just making 2 hours of action. Call it
Honestly,
a day.
that's what they're good at. They were overall, the movie had some really great action sequences. It was overbearing, like just in its setup was weird and oddly tries to be confusing when it's not confusing at all.
Absolutely. So the movie,
if you just put everything on paper, it's like, okay, I get it. This and this and this, but like their setup is like, again, if you try to follow it, it's a jarring mess.
it is completely jarring mess. And I wanted to see like what it was like for people on the outside world, because like when I went to Tokyo for Square Enix, I got to see a lot of 15, be immersed in that world for like a week, talk to like the directors of this movie, saw it in production, like it was developed on the same floor as 15. So I feel very close to this, like I know it relatively well, and so I'm curious like how that lore is perceived from people who did not spend a week with those developers.
Yeah.
And like the way this movie starts out, even if I knew the lore, it's still like
Check this
the
out.
point of this is to offer backstory, and then the first 3 minutes is Cersei Lannister in a VO explaining even more convoluted backstory when it's just evil kingdom, good kingdom. That's it.
The plot is really simple, but it's presented in a way that makes it completely like, what is going on? I don't know who any of these people are. I have no idea, no context, no nothing. And you get there, right? But like, it's not a great way to set it up. I did like King Regis. I thought he did an excellent job.
Old
with
Sean
the voice.
Bean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought, was great. He did a good job.
Good job.
I liked the
It was a
weird,
highlight.
the ambiguously evil Chancellor character.
That is the highlight.
I
Is that,
enjoyed
like,
him.
There's like this flamboyant Chancellor character
there
who's
always
in the
is.
game. We've seen it, but it's fun to see his personality come through in the movie. Be like, okay, now I can look forward to this guy in the game.
Is he the old man, or is he the guy who has an arbitrary
Yes,
bird
the
wing?
arbitrary bird
He's like,
wing.
Okay.
purple cape
That is
bird
like-
wing man.
That's like one of those things that I just cannot get over with Final Fantasy. Is just like costume design. It's like, why is this dude just wearing a bird wing?
This is
at
the most
party?
restrained costume design in a long time.
Seriously, if you
Yeah.
ask me, some of the best stuff about Final Fantasy has never, like, since they've moved more toward the story arc, they're not good at telling a story. They're good at creating characters. They're excellent at creating different
Art
characters,
designers.
awesome environments, and cool monsters.
Right.
Their attempts to make, I don't know, like complex stories, they're not good at that. Simple stories with good villains,
Yeah.
just do that again, please.
I feel like this movie though kicked it in around like the 30 minutes mark. There's like this action sequence, and really at that point, it's like I'm on board more than I thought I'd be. And I think here's a bold claim: the best Final Fantasy movie. And by the end of this, I enjoyed it. I will give it a tepid thumbs up. Not a great movie. As a movie, it's a solid 6 out of 10. You know what I mean? But for a Final Fantasy movie and someone who enjoyed the novelty of Advent Children, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. In Spirits Within, I think there are some cool ideas in there.
Some good shirt physics in that movie.
And you talk about the terrible story and whatnot. Like,
I look for.
And it's not even that it's a terrible story. Like I said, it's presented badly.
yeah,
This is such a simple, timeless story. Like, oh, we're the magical kingdom, and we've got the cool thing, and oh, these guys with all the technology want to come in and take it.
right.
That's not hard. That's a really easy concept to understand. You
Yeah.
don't need 45 minutes of setup and like, oh my gosh, it's like, here's a character. We're gonna develop this character. Oh, no, dead. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It is a darker movie than some might expect. Like the director of 15, Tabata, he loves like Saving Private Ryan. He loves a lot of dark films, and it comes through in this film. He produced it, but it comes through where it's just like death, kind of for the sake of death.
I like
It's
it.
like it's death so people can be sad.
Dark.
Okay.
Right. Unfortunately, I believe it uses like death as a plot device rather than happening because it ends up riding on the little hard.
No, he said, I don't remember. He said, "You're like a sister to me." Do you remember that part?
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why
There's
don't you
also-
feel more there?
I didn't.
Just to give people like an idea of like what the tone of this is like for the writing. I don't think it's abysmal.
No,
I think-
I've certainly seen worse.
Okay, but the main character, Nix, played by Aaron Paul, who I think genuinely does a great job. Dan Tack, you seem to be breathing heavily with
I
that.
thought, like I said, Regis was the highlight. I did
I
not.
think Aaron
I
Paul-
did
I thought
not
Aaron
care
Paul
for Nix.
he was okay.
There's a moment towards the end where Aaron Paul is kind of like exasperated, kind of like yelling at authority figures.
Hated that part.
Really?
The kaiju big battle thing at the end, that was
Well,
really stupid.
Yeah. But anyways, so Nix, right? Aaron Paul, he's really good at fighting. He's the best. He's the
And
best ever.
all the guards.
He's got
hate him
magic.
for some reason.
And so he shows up to this big battle where they're fighting Zurg in the beginning, basically.
That part was awesome.
Yeah?
I liked that part.
All the warp strikes in this movie, I think, are awesome. Like it's in the game too, but like you throw your sword and then you can
Yeah,
warp to it. And
that
like,
was cool.
It sounds so good in this movie, and there's one scene in particular where like he's failing and struggling to like attach to this ship. I think it's awesome. But he shows up, and then they're like, took you long enough." And Aaron Paul's next character says, "I'm worth the wait." And then he does
remember
something crazy, and then the other guy, his friend, laughs and shakes his head and goes, "Show off." Like, it's that type of stuff. Also, there's a
good
moment.
stuff is
There
what
is
you're
genuinely. A
I
moment,
need to watch this movie.
You really should. There's a moment where Nix genuinely says, "I could get used to this."
What is it? It's about what, an hour and 45 minutes? if I get there?
155, including
So
credits.
I'd say about 20 of those were good. Of the minutes of the movie.
Okay.
Maybe 25.
Final Fantasy fans, I think it's fun to see a new Final Fantasy movie where they talk about Gil at a certain point.
If you've seen the other Final Fantasy movies,
Yeah.
you know what to expect here, and it might even some of the.
Oh, I think more. I mean, 7 Advent Children is just a lot of fan service to the point that it ruins the movie.
I actually thought that was the fan service was the only good thing in that movie.
Yeah, but there is. I don't want to spoil one character in particular. But there's a character from 6 who gets a lot of screen time. A monster from 6. It gets a lot of screen time in this movie. And it,
Yeah, I didn't like that.
you didn't like it?
That's your favorite one, isn't it? 6?
Oh,
4.
absolutely.
Well, I thought 4 was
Okay,
your
yeah,
favorite.
right. But let's just 4 is my favorite. Yes.
Wait, are we talking
What
about
are you mumbling
America
about?
4 or
No, I just didn't like I was so like, why that of all the monsters they could have used there?
Because fans love it and the team loves 6. But also, it's in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But ultimate weapons in this movie.
Yes.
It is awesome to see a weapon from 7 like marching towards this city and really good looking CG. But my biggest problem with this movie is the lip sync. It's just a little bit off, and I can't figure out if it's just a matter of the animation resources they had, or if it's like they had to localize it and it just doesn't quite work. I can't figure out why it's a little bit off. But a lot of scenes in this movie look gorgeous, but it doesn't matter when the characters' lips are like, God, why is that just a little
It
bit
has
uncanny?
some incredibly impressive visuals and like cool slowdown scenes. I remember, like I said, if you know pretty much what to expect if you've seen the other movies, and if you're a fan, you'll probably you'll find stuff to like.
There's going to be a lot of fans of this movie, I feel like. In the Final Fantasy fan base, I think I can see, I imagine some of my friends even be like, no, this movie's awesome.
I
This
just
one's
can't
great.
imagine somebody who doesn't like the series like trying to get into the plot, which is ridiculously simple but unnecessarily convoluted in setup and construction here.
Right.
I have a question. Was there product placement in this movie?
Not only is there product placement.
Okay, because I saw like
It's-
Beats by Dr. Dre logos and stuff like that.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
and there's also, they drive an Audi and it's a nice ride. That is
no.
There's actually a scene where they pull up like a minivan.
Nice ride.
And it's like the minivan that like the shitty minivan I drove in high school. I was like, hey, there's my minivan driving around this Final Fantasy movie.
I kind of like the world for that, though. Just
I
like
actually-
hearing like a
Sure.
seatbelt chirp in like a Final Fantasy world.
Yeah.
But on the product placement thing, real quick, Beats by Dre, the least jarring product placement. Number 1, there's a billboard for Japan Airlines, like
Okay.
Tokyo Airlines. It's like, well, now what world are we in? You can't have the name Japan or Tokyo
You know
in this
what?
movie.
I thought it was all right. We're
it's
already suspending disbelief.
People-
Let's roll with
people
that.
don't-
Oh
okay,
my God.
don't just reference some American place then. Like
People like get up
If
in
that,
arms.
if that placement got me an action scene, I'm all about it.
So does this mean that Dr. Dre exists in Final Fantasy?
yeah,
I don't want to spoil it. I saw some things on the 15 cover story.
but like I actually typically don't mind product placement in like television sitcoms and stuff like that. And like I remember people complaining about it in Minority Report Report, but I actually thought it worked really well in Minority Report, having billboards for real products.
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff
not
like
referencing the Final Fantasy
that.
world in Minority Report.
Exactly. But like once you have a fictional world that has like real world product, it is very jarring. Like I was like, why is it?
did not pull me
it
out of the world
distracted
of
me big
Insomnia.
time.
I think that would pull me out.
It did for me. It normally like even like Alan Wake is a weird example. Like you would see like Verizon billboards and stuff like that. Like that didn't bug me because that takes place in our world. But once you separate it and put it in like a different universe, it falls apart, and it bugged me a lot.
The highlight of the movie for me, it's cool action scenes. Anything with the warp strikes, I think, is awesome. There's a moment where Nix, the main character, is watching TV, and he's watching a Looney Tunes style cartoon
with the Marlboro,
like a dog catcher situation. Yeah. That captured my imagination tenfold more than this movie. I was like, I want to watch this weird Looney Tunes Final Fantasy thing that they made.
It was awesome. A cute little thing.
It was cute.